Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving into a framework that's going to completely reframe how you think about modern wealth creation. Instead of just grinding harder and hoping for a different result, we are breaking down the Elite AI Income Protocol. We'll be looking at 7 specific strategies drawn from the insights of millionaire entrepreneur Mark Tillsbury. We're going to analyze exactly how to leverage artificial intelligence to build high-income systems so you can step out of the role of the overworked employee and into a highly leveraged managerial position. Let's dive right in and see how this protocol actually works. First off, let me ask you, are you working relentless hours every single day? It's a very specific, agonizing kind of frustration to feel totally financially paralyzed and stuck, especially when you know you're putting in maximum effort. The whole time for money trap, it's just exhausting. You probably see other people building online wealth, right? Creating these leverage systems that literally run while they sleep. Meanwhile, your bank account hasn't budged despite your grueling schedule. Well, it is time to break that cycle today. We need to look at how technology can actually work for you rather than you working for it. So let's start with the great AI refrain. This brings us to the core thesis we really need to wrap our heads around before moving into the specific strategies. The whole landscape of making money online, it has completely changed. You are no longer the worker sweating over every single tiny detail. You are now the manager overseeing digital employees. Just look at this massive figure, 90%. That is the staggering amount of heavy lifting that artificial intelligence now handles for modern side hustles. The grunt work that used to take human teams days or even weeks is now being executed in seconds by these sophisticated algorithms. When we break this down, you can clearly see what's a bottleneck for everyone else is actually a gold mine for you. The AI is handling somewhere between 75 and 95% of the sheer labor, the raw coding, the initial drafting, the heavy video editing. But notice that human slice right there. That remaining 5 to 25% is where the true value lies. That slice demands your taste, your nuanced judgment, and your empathy in managing client relationships. The AI can write the code, sure, but you dictate the vision. That specific human touch is exactly how you build a competitive moat and beat the competition. All right, principle 1, navigating the crowded markets. Okay, so here we're looking at the high to medium competition side hustles. Because the barrier to entry here is notoriously low, the crowds are incredibly thick. Let's walk through these rows. AI clipping, which is basically turning long podcasts into viral shorts using tools like Opus Clips, takes just about 3 days to learn, and the startup capital is a measly 15 bucks a month. AI ghostwriting? That requires about 1 to 2 weeks of learning, costing maybe $20 to $40 to set up your tools. And then there's AI websites using platforms like Wix or Hostinger to build landing pages, which takes 2 to 4 weeks with a $30 investment. Now, because these tools make the learning curve so incredibly short and the startup costs are basically the price of a few cups of coffee, competition is fiercely high. But remember this, low barriers attract big crowds who usually lack discipline. They tend to quit within a week, meaning just being consistent puts you ahead of 99% of people out there. A fundamental rule you have to remember for methods like clipping and ghostwriting is that attention is the absolute most valuable currency on the internet. Think about a massive sports channel or a huge creator. They've got hours of raw footage, like say a video of Lionel Messi playing football, just sitting on their hard drives. They simply lack the time to comb through it all, but they will happily pay you a percentage to use an AI tool to chop up that video and post it online. It's an incredible arbitrage opportunity. The massive exposure they get from your clips earns them way more money in ad revenue and sponsorships than whatever they're paying you. It is a total win-win system. To actually execute something like ghostwriting, you really need to view it as a cohesive journey rather than just a disjointed list of chores. First, pick a specific, profitable niche today. Next, set up a dedicated AI client workspace. You want to start your research by pulling weekly trends and data from Perplexity. Then feed that high-quality data over into Claude to prompt the actual writing. And finally, you add your unique human touch. By uploading past newsletters, interviews, and social posts into a dedicated Claude project, you make sure the AI captures your client's exact tone rather than sounding like some generic, soulless robot. Think of yourself as the conductor, and the AI tools are your orchestra. Moving right along to principle 2, exploiting the sweet spot. Now we're stepping away from those high competition markets and moving into the highly lucrative, medium to low competition environments, specifically AI built Shopify stores and AI agents. Let's contrast these two. With an AI Shopify store, using tools like Build Your Store and AutoDS, you can get started for practically nothing, literally just 99 cents. The learning curve is almost zero, and the AI handles like 95% of the workload, from picking trending products to managing the shipping logistics. On the flip side, AI agents require a much more demanding 1 to 2 month grind to set up, and they cost about $50 a month to maintain. But listen, that steeper learning curve is incredibly important. It acts as a natural filter, protecting you from the masses who are just looking for a quick, easy buck. Think about your local businesses for a second: plumbers, hair salons, dental offices. They are literally bleeding money every single day because they miss over 50% of their incoming calls while they're busy actually serving clients. Sales are just slipping right through their fingers. By setting up an AI receptionist using a tool like Dial Zara, you step in and solve a massive financial pain point. You're providing a digital employee that answers calls 24/7, books appointments automatically, and captures leads seamlessly. And it never takes a sick day. Local business owners are incredibly behind the technology curve. Honestly, most of them don't even know these tools exist. That positions you as an absolute savior for their bottom line. Now for Principle 3, entering the blue ocean. Here is where we target the massive, untapped opportunities found in low to very low competition arenas. This is where the elite operate. Let's look at the metrics for this blue ocean. We're talking about creating AI avatars, virtual influencers that look completely real but don't actually exist, and AI app building. Creating a photorealistic avatar requires understanding some pretty complex rendering tools, while app building requires learning intricate node-based logic. Both of these take a rigorous 2 to 3 month learning curve. The startup capital sits somewhere between $19 and $50 a month. But notice that final column. Because of that initial friction to get started, the competition is incredibly low. So on the left side, you have the massive crowds chasing easy money, constantly searching for a shortcut. They lack the necessary discipline and almost always quit within a week. But on the right side, you have the blue ocean. This is reserved for the elite few who are willing to endure that awkward 2 to 3 month learning curve. Take app building, for example. Using platforms like Lovable or Emerin, you don't actually have to write a single line of code. You just describe the application and the AI writes it while you watch and refine the logic. It's exactly like learning to drive a car. It feels super clumsy and awkward for the first month, but it becomes incredibly powerful and second nature once you master it. Same goes for building AI avatars. Once they're created, they never age, they never have a bad hair day, and you get to bypass all the annoying parts of being a traditional influencer. Notice how the required monthly investment scales up as we move across these different methods. Stepping into these higher leverage, lower competition arenas slightly increases your required capital. It goes up from $15 for clipping to $30 for websites, all the way up to $50 for agents and apps. But let's pause and be entirely honest about this context. When you compare this to the tens of thousands of dollars required to start a traditional brick and mortar business, paying for rent, inventory, employee payroll, spending $50 a month is a staggeringly low investment to generate custom software and deploy digital employees. Let's wrap this up with your ultimate action plan. It's time to shift our focus entirely to execution, because having access to these 7 cutting-edge strategies means absolutely nothing without the most crucial element in the entire equation: you. The missing 20% is your taste, your judgment, and your human touch. AI handles all the heavy labor, right? It edits the raw video, it writes the weekly newsletter, it codes the complex app. But mastering that missing 20% is the only way you stand out from the generic, robotic crowd. It's your judgment in picking the very best angle for a social post. It's your specific taste in designing a landing page that actually converts cold visitors into loyal buyers. It is your human touch and empathy when dealing with a stressed out local business owner. That is the premium skill you are actually getting paid for. So, I'll leave you with this final thought. Are you going to remain part of the crowd endlessly seeking easy money and quick fixes? Or will you put in the focused effort to master the tools required to command the blue ocean? Step out of the relentless daily grind, harness the ultimate leverage of this modern age, and take absolute control of your financial destiny today. Thanks for joining me for this explainer.